Hello and welcome to the Nerd Ninja Horror Show. I am your Fright Master, Freddy Ruiz. Here with me, as always, is my lovely co-host, Ash Von Horror, ready to deal out some death to all you fools who would dare cross her path. We're here to talk to you about everything in the horror world going on right now and some stuff we've seen. Ash, you ready to talk some horror?
Oh, did you say I can kill you?
No?
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, you notice the lovely sign right here. It's awesome. Jesus.
Hashtag kill Freddy.
Anyways, recently, guys, if you are fans of the movie Drive, Nicholas Winding Refn, he's the director of that film. He's also got the Neon Demon coming out with another one of the what's that little creepy little sister from Charlotte's Web? Ugh.
I don't even remember.
Anyways, that little girl's got a movie coming out,
creepy
and
movie.
her sister's in that movie. But he is actually going to bringing us one of the most classic grindhouse New York movies ever. That movie is entitled Maniac Cop. He's going to be remaking that and bringing it to cinemas, hopefully for us, for a new generation. And weirdly enough, we have Ed Brubaker writing that. If that name doesn't ring any bells, he is the writer on possibly some of the most infamous Captain America comics of contemporary times, and he does a lot of stuff for Image right now. So we thought with that news coming out, we'd take some time to talk about the Maniac Cop series. Ash?
So, with Maniac Cop, there's a series of gruesome murders that begin taking place in New York City. The murder is identified by some street thugs as a huge, hulking cop who strangles and guts his victims with a huge knife. Police officer Jack Forrest is framed for the murders as one of the victims was his own wife, who in a state of paranoia suspected him of being the maniac. It's up to Detective Frank McRae and Officer Teresa Mallory to prove Jack's innocence and find the true Maniac Cop.
I'm the Maniac Cop. I love this damn movie right here.
So special.
Okay, special as in, did you not like it?
No, I like that because it's
we got a
that
decent-
it's that
we got a
easy
decent.
80s cheesy. It fits into the 80s cheese factor where you can't hate it, you can love it, but I'm not gonna say that about the sequels.
Jesus Christ. I will say with Maniac Cop film, it is written and directed by William Lustig. If you don't know him, he also directed a movie we talked about a couple weeks ago called Maniac, which is both these films were produced by Larry Cohen, infamously the director of God Told Me To, It's Alive, as well as The Stuff with Chocolate Chip Charlie. That's a whole nother episode, we can get into that. But this movie was basically William Lustig and Larry Cohen sitting down at dinner and joking, you know, what about that Maniac movie? We need to make a sequel to that. And they said, oh yeah, Maniac Cop. Well, then in the New Yorker style of filmmaking that they had back in those grindhouse days, they decided, yep, we're making it. The best part, though, was what happened. They had a parade going down in New York. I think it was like a St. Patty's Day parade or something. Mm-hmm. And they had just gotten Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi fresh off of Evil Dead 2. And they said, okay, Sam, you're a news reporter and you're reporting on the Maniac Cop that could be in the crowd right now of this parade. And Bruce, we're going to get some shots of you running around trying to find him. They filmed that, took it to basically financiers and said, hey, we got Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi from Evil Dead 2. Let's make this movie. Didn't even have a script yet.
Jeez.
That's how on the fly this movie
just like
is.
Winging it.
Yeah,
Let's
pretty much.
for it.
And that was that grindhouse New York spirit that I loved in this movie. It's not the best looking movie. I know, especially the camera work and stuff like that.
Oh, the camera work's like
it's I wouldn't
wonky.
say. Let me rephrase that. It's not camera work as much as it is the quality of film that they used on this, because it was shoestring budget. They had whatever they could get, and they would use it.
Though,
yeah.
So,
and the way this came together, it was just so crazy. They picked people off the street. They picked people from other Stallone movies because they were friends with Stallone, and of course they had just done Maniac with Joe Spinell, and he's friends with Scorsese, Coppola,
so
all of them.
Grabbing everybody.
They're grabbing anyone they can, and they found Robert Zadar, who. He was in a movie called Night Stalker, and he's infamously known for this huge, giant chin. He's a scary-looking fool. And he got the part because Lustig found him in Night Stalker and said, you need to be the Maniac Cop.
He's the intimidating.
Exactly. So this movie it's so crazy, but with all that being said, I want to ask Ash, you hadn't seen this in forever. You forgot you'd seen this, correct?
I forgot that I watched it until I was watching. I'm like, oh, it's that movie.
I was so excited for this because we were both at Texas Frightmare Weekend, and I had bought Maniac Cop forever ago, but at a booth, they had the Blue Underground special Blu-ray editions of both Maniac Cop 2 and 3. Never seen them. So I thought, all right, perfect time to integrate it in the show. They're talking about a remake. I watched them all in a row, and I hadn't seen Maniac Cop since I saw it for the first time maybe 6-7 years ago. Still held up with me.
Yeah.
That being said, how did you feel revisiting it in that time frame?
Childhood memories.
Beautiful times with killers and stalkers and everything.
Yeah, because have you ever, like, when you're, like, in a conversation, you're talking about a movie, and you're like, wait, what was that movie? And you're sitting there, and you're, like, replaying the movie in your head, and then later on you watch it, and you're like, oh, that's the movie. Or if you see, like, a still on, you know, online, and you see, like, a meme of a horror movie, and you're like, wait, and you're sitting there trying to figure out, that was me with this movie. I was like, oh, I remember this dude. I remember Bruce Campbell. How did I forget this?
Bruce Campbell, okay, so I kind of love Bruce in this movie. It's so weird because you see him as he's kind of childish, boyish in the original Evil Dead. Evil Dead 2, you get the smart ass, and that really came from Sam Raimi's movie Crime Waves, the second movie written by the Coen brothers, by the way, who are personal assistants on the Evil Dead films. And from that Crime Wave cameo where he's just playing this like 1930s smarmy jackass, that bled into Evil Dead 2. So then you get the Evil Dead 2 stuff, but then it goes into Maniac Cop where he's like a blue-collar working cop. And it's kind of crazy to see him go from...
And he acts kind of weird when you first introduced him, but I know why they do that.
Yeah,
but he acts a little...
Well, why would you say they do that?
Well, because the wife is all paranoid thinking he's the maniac, and his mannerisms are very weird. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, no, he's not the maniac.
When he comes about halfway through the movie, right?
It took a while. I'm like, where is he?
Because a majority of the movie, the hero you have is Tom Atkins from Night of the Creeps. He's in pretty much every damn horror movie ever. For most of you out there, if you're Creepshow fans, you'll recognize him immediately. Tom Atkins is the father that throws away the comics at the beginning of Creepshow, and the little kid's like, I want you to die. That's Tom Atkins, and you'll recognize him in so many movies. But he was, for me, he was the horror action star in the 80s, especially with the low-budget horror cinema like this. And he plays a great cop and everything. And this one, he does not, no stopping him.
Yeah, he's determined.
Yeah, and so to see him in a film with Bruce Campbell, and for a good chunk of it, he's almost kind of hunting down Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
So
I thought that was pretty awesome to see that kind of weird dynamic. And
he's also like, I think he was like the only one that was just like, he was kind of flip-flopping whether or not he thought he was the maniac or not. And then everybody else thought he was, and he's like, wait a second, he doesn't fit the description.
Exactly. Tom Atkins plays the smartest guy in this movie. That dude is supposed
to be big, and Bruce Campbell's not a big dude.
Especially
he's scrawny in this movie.
Yeah, especially this time.
I mean, he's tall, but he's scrawny.
He's so tiny in this movie. So that was, man, it's a pretty cool thing to see Bruce Campbell in that kind of light. But I feel like I keep getting off track. But
you're
altogether, what would you rate this movie? Would you recommend it to people?
Yeah, I would recommend it most definitely. It's that 80s horror that we don't get anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get these types of horror movies anymore.
The Maniac Cop.
You get the people that try to make these movies and fail. So in this case, I would tell people to watch it, most definitely.
And like I said, this is, for me, being like an aspiring filmmaker, this is one of those movies that's so cool to me because Larry Cohen had just been fired off a movie he'd been working on forever. Larry Cohen, most of his movies were super independent, low budget. Every now and then he'd get like a big budget movie, like he wrote Phone Booth, and I think at the time he was on one of those big budget movies, and I think Lustig hadn't done a movie since the original Maniac. So that was pretty crazy to see that time period of just nothing.
That's a huge time period.
Yeah, so it was just, I think for horror fans at that time, like seeing this come out, it was really awesome to see them come back with such a vengeance.
Yeah.
And especially with such a crew. You even have Jake from Evil Dead 2 pop up as one of the cops. There are so many like cameos from, I guess, Sam Raimi camp alumni, plus you also had the usual suspects from a Bill Lustig or Larry Cohen.
And there's
camp.
even cameos in the sequels, which we'll get to in a few
minutes.
Yeah. Because there was one that I got yesterday. I'm like, ooh, ha, ha.
And for you hardcore Grindhouse old school fans, Richard Roundtree, if you don't know that guy, he played the original Shaft. He plays the commissioner in this movie, telling everybody off. So that was pretty awesome to me. I know you had a little something with Zadar and Campbell, right?
Yeah, both of the actors with Bruce Campbell and Zadar, they both have the nickname The Chin.
The chin, yeah. Because they both have that epic chin. Now,
they got that
Zadar definitely has like a more good God, it's
Pronounced
some scary
chin.
stuff. The makeup
Take
on
out
him,
people chin.
yeah, the makeup on him as the Maniac Cop is pretty cool, and I do love the whistling sound effect you have when he's throwing his baton and stuff.
Oh,
like
that little.
yeah. So it was pretty cool character development on this horror icon. And
Yeah.
I do believe I would put the Maniac Cop up there with other horror icons.
Yeah, he could go up there.
Yeah.
Like it fits into like, I wouldn't say like the slasher genre. I don't.
You don't think you wouldn't
I
consider
don't know.
him a slasher?
Would he be considered a slasher?
I would
kinda
easily consider
hard.
Maniac Cop a slasher.
Would it be slasher?
Oh yeah, easily. Okay, so ladies and
Or
gentlemen,
at least the first movie.
his
slasher.
baton, he has a knife inside of it. So people are going up to him as a cop.
And you don't see his face. Like it's always in the shadows.
Yeah,
You can't see his
and
face.
the beginning of the movie,
Be glad you
it's
can't see
this
the face.
girl being robbed
Mm-hmm.
by these two hoodlums, and she sees the cop, starts running to him. She's like, "Oh my God, help me!" And he pulls out his baton and pulls the knife out of the baton and stabs her up, raises her up on the knife. It is
And keep in mind, this
excellent.
dude's huge.
He is huge.
They say he's 6'3" in the film, right? They
Oh,
say
yeah.
about 6'3".
And
Dude's
it's
huge.
It's funny too because you see the other the other gang members in the city scared.
They're hiding.
beyond recognition from him. And I think personally this is a great time to bring back the Maniac Cop idea and stuff like that
Yeah.
because the film is such a thing of at one point no one trusts the cops. There's a lady who gets stopped by a cop and is so freaked out about it, she pulls a gun out of her glove compartment and shoots him
Which
dead.
oddly kind of fits into the time period nowadays.
It really does. So that was it's a good time to bring this back, I think.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that I think what's the phrase they use, like timeless, where you can still watch it and it's still
It's
lives
got a
up to
story
it.
that can really
and now
go through
considering
everything.
that they're making the remake, it's kind of fitting with the time frame nowadays.
Well, and I do believe, as much as I love this movie, this is one that could stand a remake if done properly. The thing that I would like, though, is we got to have some horror icons just like they had back in the day.
Yeah, like the small cameos.
Yeah,
bring
some
them
small
in.
cameos from just people coming off and other stuff.
I agree with that.
So that being said, we're going to the Maniac Cop 2. This is personally my favorite one. It is the most action-packed. It is most insane.
Freddy fanboy.
Right there. Takes place right after the events of the first film. Some time has passed, and Matt Cordell, or the Maniac Cop, his body is still missing. Although Frank has been cleared of all charges and he wishes to move on with his life, Teresa is upset that the police force refuses to acknowledge Matt returning from the grave to exact his revenge, and is even more perturbed that the body was never found. Bring in Captain Edward Doyle, who makes Frank and Teresa go to the precinct shrink Susan Riley to see if they are still fit to be officers of the law. As bodies begin to pile up, we get Detective Sean McKinney joining the case to prove not only is Matt Cordell back, but the police force had a hand in turning Cordell into the Maniac Cop himself. So that was another cool, interesting thing I thought they brought into it. They expanded the mythos.
Yeah.
And
because they didn't really in the first one too much.
No, he's just kind of like, well, this is what happened to the guy. He was a cop, good cop that rubbed some people the wrong way and got put in jail and got killed.
Yeah.
And
they made you think he was bad.
They made you think he was really bad. But as you get to the second movie, you find out not only was a good cop that got maybe, screwed, but he got super screwed. It was some hardcore stuff. And
I'd be coming back angry too.
The gore goes up like crazy too, man.
So much more gore.
What did you think for part 2? This is my favorite one, guys, by the way.
I enjoyed this one too because I like with sequels, with any movie, I should clarify, especially with horror, I like when they bring in characters that were from the first films, at least a familiar face. So I'm glad with the sequel that they actually brought in some familiar faces and you're like, okay, yeah, I remember you. Oh yeah, I remember them talking about you. I don't like it when they bring in characters you're like, wait, what do you have to do with this? Or at least if they're going to bring in new characters, they kind of bring them in gradually.
Well, I do like that. And in this one, most sequels, the law of sequels for horror, it seems like, if anyone survives the last movie, you kill them at the beginning of the next movie.
Yep.
And so, excuse me, that was kind of cool because 2 people survive from the first movie and make it pretty far into the second movie before they're dispatched. And one of them, I will say, is probably the most hilarious because it literally is a newspaper being held up. Oh, let's see what's in the news today. And a knife just goes
just see
through
the
them and
knife
through the
through it.
paper.
A
And
little bit of flinching. With
I'm
the
kind of
movie.
sitting there thinking, good God, did we really just do that?
Is that how he just got taken out?
Yeah, and that was the only time I was kind of taken out of the movie. But at the same time, you get two new characters with Detective McKinney and the precinct shrink, and they're actually built up from the beginning of the movie alongside with the surviving characters. So by the time
Yeah, they fit into it.
yeah, by the time the surviving characters are killed off, and one of them is really awesome, and that is possibly one of the most badass fights ever with the chainsaw. You heard that from me, and I love Texas Chainsaw. The other characters that come in, they're built up so good by that time that the others are dispatched. The new ones that come in are like friends and family to you. You feel like you care for them.
You kind of grow an attachment to them in a way.
Yeah. And
or you connect to them. I guess would be
exactly.
another way to say
And
it.
the other thing I really love is Larry Cohen hated the original makeup, and I thought it was decent. I thought it was okay for what was being presented because guy gets cut up and everything.
His
so
face is mangled.
He's got it wasn't hardcore mangled.
Well, I mean, like putting it back together.
That's true,
in a
but I mean,
sense.
he's a ghost from the grave. He's got these stitches and everything, which I guess it's hard to explain that anyway. That sounds stupid.
Yeah.
But for this film, he gets waterlogged at the end of the first film and is missing. So in this one, when he comes back, he definitely has a John Carl Buechler look from Friday the 13th Part 7, where he's gone underwater and he's stuck under there, he's chained up, and he comes back and he's waterlogged. And he has like this horrible frog face, just prune from hell. And it is so creepy, but so awesome. So I thought that was kind of a cool update. Like each movie seems like they were kind of changing it up. And Cohen really wanted a Lon Chaney Phantom of the Opera look, which you can kind of see on his face. And I really like
And the way
that.
they hide his face, too.
Oh, yeah. And in the shadows of it.
The
so
shadowing
perfect.
of it, because sometimes you only see, like, part of the face, not the full face.
Yeah, yeah. And Dean Gates, he was the one who did the makeup on it. He's done some pretty cool stuff. He did Day of the Dead, which is my favorite George Romero favorite zombie film of all time. He worked on Tom Savini's crew on that. He was one of the guys that worked on Phantasm 3, which if you don't know the Phantasm 3 story, basically Coscarelli just got anyone and everyone he could to do them favors for part 3 and 4. So he was one of the guys. And he also did Jurassic Park. He worked on in Stan Winston's studio doing some of that
He
stuff.
went horror, Jurassic Park.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Jurassic Park's
I mean,
kinda
well,
horror.
Jurassic Park's still horror, but I mean, compared to the other two.
Yeah. And of course, we get the wonderful Robert Zadar back. He is 10 times more scary in this one, does so many more effects, and he is in that more hardcore makeup. Now, like we said, the first one, it's kind of just, some scratches here and there, and it looks cool.
Yeah, just got the gashes.
But this one, he's got full
His-
upper body prosthetics.
He's just mangled.
And Zadar, he's already a
keep using that
huge guy, huge chin.
Just a big dude.
And he's on fire for a good chunk of this movie.
Yes, he was. I was watching that. Like, that's the thing I like to watch is when they have him in the makeup and they have him on fire. Because I'm like, how is that holding up right now?
Right. You think everything's melting off.
How are you not melting?
Well, apparently one day Zadar had a breakdown on set, and Lustig had to promise him, "Hey, buddy, we'll send you and your wife to Hawaii if you don't tear that off. We'll take you. No big deal."
Just keep it on.
And apparently he had to
Couple
do that.
more
He had to
hours.
send him to Hawaii just to keep him going.
Well, yeah, if he's like miserable, because I mean, heavy makeup, especially prosthetics, gets hot and sweaty and nasty, and it takes so many hours, and you don't get much sleep. I'm pretty sure he was fed up by that point.
Yeah, right. Now, for our new characters, the Detective Sean McKinney, if we have any fans of the Goonies in the house, we have Robert Davi, who played Jake Fratelli from the Goonies. He's pretty awesome in this movie. The whole time I'm watching, I'm thinking, I know this guy. And he's the Fratelli from the Goonies. And I'm not a big James Bond fan, but I thought this was kind of funny. So Lustig was going into a production meeting with some French producers to get some money for Maniac Cop 2. He's driving around. Yeah, Hope Before Death, Truffle Shuffle. He's driving around and he sees a billboard for License to Kill, which Robert Davi was the bad guy in that movie, and it made a ton of money. So he's sitting there, he's like, "Oh, I like Robert Davi. Yeah, Robert Davi's good." And he goes in the meeting and they go, "So who do you want to be the stars of this film?" And he goes, "Robert Davi. We got Robert Davi." And that got the funding for the movie before
Just
they
get
even
him.
had Robert Davi.
I don't want anybody else. I just want him.
Exactly. So I love how Lustig and Cohen would just make crap up as they go, and they would get it.
Yeah.
You actually had Robert Davi.
And you don't get that much nowadays anymore with like directors or, them wanting this and then the like production company or whatever, the producers are just like, no, you can't have that.
Well, it's funny. I know a lot of people, and even Bill Lustig talked about this before on several occasions, where there's the super low budget, the middle budget, and the giant multi-billion-dollar picture.
Michael Bay.
And so you can make, like, let's say The Battery, which was made by some friends in the car. That's a zombie flick, real low budget. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty cool. There's no middle ground anymore. It's all gone. Because it's either you make that low budget indie darling or you make that multi-billion-dollar movie. So people like Bill Lustig, he's talked about, like, it's hard to make a film anymore because his middle ground budgets,
Yeah, and
you can't get them anymore. So they have to go super low budget, which is why I'm pretty excited that Wyndon Refn is going to bring something like that back to the screen.
We need that back.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we also got Leo Rossi. He plays... Now, get this. The Maniac Cop has a best friend maniac, which I didn't see coming at all.
That was
And it was halfway through the movie, and you're just thinking, Jesus, what the hell happened? And he's Leo Rossi, Bud from Halloween 2. And the way they describe him in the movie and the way he was told to portray the character was white trash Bela Lugosi.
You know who he looked like to me? The dad from Amityville Horror, the original.
Yeah, James Brolin.
Yeah.
Josh Brolin's
like
dad.
The getting all the beard.
He
and the
kind of
hair.
reminded
like
me...
that and Charles Manson in a one.
If you take James Brolin's character from Amityville Horror and McCready, the character from The Thing, take those, put them together, and make them sadistic as all hell.
Their love child.
Yeah, then you get Turkle.
The sociopath love child.
And it's pretty cool because if you guys have ever seen Gotham at all, there's that whole season where they have all the maniacs loose in the asylum. The Maniac Cop goes to jail, unleashes a bunch of maniacs, and they help him fight off the police in this amazing standoff at the end of the movie. And it is so epic that they decided, you know what, let's take it a step further. More fire.
Let's add more fire. That's not
Exactly.
enough fire. Let's add some more fire.
Inspired
there was
by
a lot of fire.
Yeah, inspired by Howard Hawks' original ending of The Thing, where they light him on fire and he's going around like crazy. Lustig decided, oh, you know what would be cool? Let's have you strangling this guy, and then you catch fire and you don't even really notice it.
Not only are you strangling him, you're going to be on fire while you strangle him.
Exactly.
Because
So
strangulation's not enough anymore nowadays.
Leo Rossi was not really into that, so he said, you know what? Lustig, if you do it, I'll do it. So Lustig literally had to set his arm on fire, not even shooting, just to do it, to show that nothing would happen. And he did it. He did not know how he did it, but he did it. Because most of the time he would say he could do these things. He had no idea how he was going to do it.
That's scary, too.
Yeah, I
that
know.
could have went so wrong.
I mean, they got buses going through walls, off buildings, all kinds of stuff.
Props
Explosions
to the
left and right.
stuntmen in this movie.
They had to work overtime on this one, but it was funny. So Rossi says, all right, Bill, you did it. I'll do it now. Rossi does it, and half his face, thank God it was the last take in the movie for him, because his entire half of his face got singed up. I thought that was so crazy.
Poor guy.
But it definitely works.
It works.
Because, like I said,
these are like close-up shots of them being on fire too.
They don't shy away.
That far distant shot usually when you get when it's like a couple of seconds and it goes. No, it's like ongoing. Watching this dude walk, being on fire, and you're just sitting there like, how is this happening right now? How are they not like cutting to a different
Everyone
scene?
is not dead somehow.
Yeah, how's this dude not falling on the ground?
Yeah,
saying,
they
"Put
had
me out."
They had so many shots, just right there,
continuous shot.
and it's so crazy. You just don't see that kind of stuff anymore. And
No,
but,
you
like I said, with part 2, they had a lot more money. They had a lot more production value, so it looks nicer, and they do more with the concept.
Yeah, they do.
This was the peak to me, and I think it kind of sucks because New Line Cinema almost picked it up for a theatrical release.
And we love New Line
But
Cinema.
I think because the original went to home video first and did so well there, better than most other places, especially with the advent of the video store, they were trying to get as many videos, new original movies going to video as they could. So it was more lucrative for the financiers to put it to home video instead. So New Line, who at that point was only the house that Freddy built, they only had the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, they couldn't get it out there. and it went to home video instead. And I think this would have been a great movie to
It
go
kind
to
of makes you
theaters.
wonder what would have happened if they would have gotten would it...
That pure theatrical release.
What would have happened with it then versus it just going straight
Yeah.
video.
Now, this one also has one of the weirdest endings ever, only in the sense that it's super creepy. It's awesome at the end. And then all of a sudden, the credits are rolling, and there's a Maniac Cop rap. I kid you not, a Maniac Cop rap. And it is the composer of the film who, Bill Lustig goes, hey, you know what would be cool? Let's get a rap. Everybody likes raps at the end of movies. And the composer was so butthurt. He was so sad. He goes, fine, and goes off, writes 6 to 8 different rap songs in a day, goes down the street and finds anybody who's a rapper that he can find and starts getting the raps done. He's got 5. If you look up online,
you do this. Here, you do that.
If you look up online, Maniac Cop rap, supposedly there's like 6 to 7 different takes and 6 to 7 different versions you can hear. And I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty damn good. It's stupid as hell, but it's pretty funny.
That's special.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about that.
Right.
Yeah, and for since we mentioned Bruce Campbell earlier, it's been stated that Bruce Campbell has joked at conventions that if you mention this movie around him, he'll get angry and stuff. And during this time period of the films, he was actually going through a really bad divorce. So this whole rumor started saying if you mentioned Maniac Cop 1 and 2, he would actually get mad at you, cuss you out, yell at you, which was false. He actually doesn't get mad, but he does have this thing where he has fans. If you go and meet him at a convention and you tell him, hey, I saw Maniac Cop, you're awesome in that, he'll cuss you out, and it's like an honor system to be cussed out by Bruce Campbell if you mention the films.
God, I wish it was an honor system for me to get cussed out by Kane Hodder for mentioning Freddy versus Jason. Because
I wished I was there for that.
I was like 16 too. That was the worst.
Freddy crying some more.
I just kind of went off. I was like, oh, okay. And you actually found this out. I didn't know anything, but you had some stuff on Joe Spinell, the original Maniac from the Maniac movies.
From a previous episode you mentioned, he was actually supposed to play the homicidal maniac, but because of his death, they couldn't.
And
didn't happen.
It sucks so much because I know
he's creepy looking.
He is creepy looking, and Joe Spinell I thought was such a great character actor, especially in Maniac as the Maniac. I thought it would have been great to kind of bridge the films. Like, you get the Maniac from Maniac helping out the Maniac Cop. That would have been so cool. I would have been so down for that. And you do, because I'm the weirdo that I am, I like looking at all the end credit stuff. At the very end of the movie, it says in loving memory of Joe Spinell. And I got a little touch
knew
there.
He cried.
Yeah, I was like, oh God, Joe.
Oh, see, Warcat said that they need to make that into an album, the Maniac Cop rap.
I'd be so down for that one, actually.
I would laugh if I go into a store that's still CDs still, and you see Maniac Cop.
Can you get those anymore?
You can sometimes.
Which brings us to Maniac Cop Trace.
Yeah, so Officer Kate Sullivan breaks into a hostage situation, and she discovers that the hostage is actually an accomplice of the shotgun-wielding maniac holding up the store. And unfortunately, a camera crew who has been driving around looking for a juicy news story captures the whole thing on film and then edits the footage to make it look like she killed the hostage in cold blood. The media spins it, and Kate the maniac is framed for being a crooked cop while she lays in a hospital in a coma after the incident. Detective Sean McKinney believes her innocence and tries to clear her name, only he's not the only one who believes that she's innocent. Maniac cop Matt Cordell is back, and he is angered that Kate is being set up just as he was, and a bloodbath in the hospital of all those trying to hurt Kate's reputation ensues. And oh, Lord have mercy.
Guys, are you following us so far? Maniac Cop 1, pretty cool. Maniac
and
Cop 2,
let us know out of these
epic.
3. If you've seen all 3, let us know in the chat which one's your favorite and which one's your least favorite.
Any of the Maniac Cop movies, please tell us which ones you like and
any
which
of you
ones
like
you
part
hate.
3, I'm going to stab you with this machete.
Okay, it's not
So bad.
It's bad, but it's not the worst thing ever.
No, it's not the worst thing ever. Trust me, there's things out there worse than that, like Hellions. Never going to let that down.
Oh, good God.
But no, they could have just not done this one. They could have just left it at 1 and 2 and be done. This is one of those times where you're like, okay, stop with the sequels. Just stop. And it could have been good, but there was a couple of things that ruined it for me.
Everybody at some point goes to the Bride movie. Bride of Reanimator, Bride of Chucky, Bride of Frankenstein. Maniac Cop 3 is the Bride of Maniac Cop. That was the entire idea. Teresa, from the second movie, I guess, at that point.
Well, she was in the first
and second movie.
The blonde chick.
She was supposed to go into a coma, and she would be become the bride of Maniac Cop in the third movie. But they decide, no, we're not going to go with that. Let's create this entirely new character and make her the one that goes in the
And
coma.
have her suddenly attached to the detective from the second one when he had never even mentioned her in the second
Yeah,
movie.
it's really weird. And
It's like just tossed in.
I'm one of those guys that straight up believes that a lot of times studio involvement does not need to happen. Larry Cohen, William Lustig, they're back. This time, though, they have some pretty big financiers and producers who put a lot of money in this movie, and they pretty much just want a straight-to-video movie, I believe.
Yeah.
Problem is, the producers had only seen the Maniac Cop movies like a month before they picked up the rights to Maniac Cop.
Oh, goodness.
And most of them didn't really know how to get the movie together, writing-wise. Of course, Larry Cohen is just the kind of guy that's, oh, yeah, I'm in my car right now. Do you want to hear the Maniac Cop 3 pitch? That's literally what happened. The producer goes to Larry Cohen, finds him, and says, hey, so what's the deal with the Maniac Cop 3? What do you got? And he goes, oh, you got a minute? And starts telling him the entire script that he wants over the phone. Because that's the kind of guy Larry Cohen is. He's just going to like, let's do it. This guy who was producing the movie does not like that at all. He wants pure structure. He wants everything set in stone, which honestly, that doesn't make the Maniac Cop movies in my mind.
That doesn't fit.
And I get it.
doesn't
You know,
go with
it
it.
makes sense if you've been doing movies like that. But if you're you're coming from the New York grindhouse scene, that's not at all how you do them. And anybody in chat can argue with me on that, but I think that the studio involvement really hindered this.
I agree.
Now, that being said, Lustig got super pissed directing this movie. The original cut of the movie was only 51 minutes long because the amount of stuff he wanted in the movie, that's all there was.
Sheesh.
And everything else was the producers. So they said, all right, Bill, you need to go back and put this character in here and make this character this big and put this scene in here and put that stuff over there. And they wanted to compromise all the action scenes because Lustig comes from like, hey, let's just do some action scenes. Let's just shoot it.
Let's just shoot it and get it over with.
And so they micro budgeted too, shrank the budget. So it's even less action. Lustig's even more pissed. He leaves after that 51-minute cut. Says, the hell with you, I don't want anything to do with it, which is why it says it's directed by Alan Smithy. Alan Smithy, of course, is the term that says that director, whoever directed a movie, if it's directed by Alan Smithy, the original director, basically his entire vision of the movie was compromised and wants nothing to do with it. So it's directed by an alias, Alan Smithy. So this movie's completely taken away from him. Everything's gone. There's a 51-minute cut.
And you could tell.
And the producers just go in throwing anything they can in there.
It was a hot mess.
Yeah, and they have Officer McKinney, Robert Davi. He does a lot of really cool stuff. He does all his stunts. And he's jumping over tables. He's got amazing action sequences that he does. And a lot of them were from Bill's original vision that Davi just kind of did.
Yeah.
Because the producer was like, well, can you do this? Like, I'll do it right now.
Okay.
So I thought that was kind of cool. You keep some of that core stuff in for a movie that is called Maniac Cop. I did not feel like there was much Maniac Cop in it.
And the badge of silence on with the...
The badge of silence has... What the hell? There's no badge of silence.
What was with 80 horror movies that would always add that, like, the extra title to the title? I never understood that trend.
See, Warcats, this sounds like it was doomed from the start. It pretty much was, and that's the sad part.
It was a nightmare.
What really did Lustig over, I think, there's an opening scene. And now this is sad. When your opening scene was filler thrown in afterward.
Good Lord.
He hated the banal dialogue that the producers kept putting in there. Because once again, they don't understand these characters. They don't understand how they want to like present this thing. And there's all of a sudden this big deal about one of the main characters' birthdays and how, you know, I never get my birthday and da-da-da-da. And I didn't understand what it had to do with anything. I thought as I'm watching it, maybe it sets up for something. Yeah. But it never did.
It never sets up for anything. Like,
yeah.
You got like these new characters that are not in there very long, and you're like, okay, is this setting up to something else? Nope. Okay. Setting up to, nope, not again. Nope, not again. I didn't like this one at all.
You know, there's a lot of cool stuff, and the Maniac Cop makeup's awesome because we finally get K&B Effects Group. Because, you know, if you're working K&B Effects Group, you're going to work on some movie in the 80s in that franchise at some point.
Yeah.
Everybody gets one.
Everybody gets that one movie.
So, man, it was
just a nightmare.
bad. They had to bring Michael Elliott. He was brought in to re-edit the whole movie, and several scenes in the movie were outtakes and scenes from Maniac Cop 2
Yeah.
that they just threw in there because they
I
had
saw
some action
those.
scenes.
From part 2, I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
That's from the other one.
It's pretty bad, guys. I would say watch Maniac Cop 1 and 2, and then 3
Just
if you feel adventurous, because
You
all
want
of
to
a
drop some IQ points.
there's a cult all of a sudden. Woo!
Voodoo type
Awesome.
weird stuff. And
Yeah.
I
So
don't know.
I'm not the guy that's one for remakes, but I think maybe this series could be reinvigorated. I know Neon Demon, Refn's new film, is not getting great reviews, so that might hinder it a bit, but I'm hoping we can get something going with this. Maybe go with Spectre Vision, Elijah Wood's company, who put the Maniac remake through.
And that one was awesome.
And I think it just takes a really good director. So whoever we get, hopefully we can reinvigorate this franchise. And I just want to see someone who can do as good as Robert Zadar. So that would be awesome. What do you think about
I agree.
it in whole?
I'll agree with that. Because like what you said about the remakes, I'm iffy with remakes. Sometimes I'm like, stop, don't touch that movie. And then there's other cases where I'm like, okay, if you do this, do it right, get the right director, get the right company backing you up, get the right actors, and hey, we might have a good, decent remake, or what they call them now, reboots.
It's sad how you get really into a series, and by the third movie's so bad, you're like, oh, please remake it.
Exactly.
So that is our the whole recap on the Maniac franchise. Hopefully we'll get new Maniac Cop coming out. But we also checked out the new TV show, Outcast. Robert Kirkman's new show, the writer of Walking Dead, of course,
His favorite
is on
TV show?
Showtime. Now, this your new favorite TV show?
No, I said Walking Dead's your favorite TV show.
Oh, Jesus Christ, now. So it's coming out June 3rd, but it's got a real weird marketing plan. You can actually go online right now and watch Outcast Episode 1 on YouTube for free. So after this, if you like what you hear, go check it out. It's free.
Please do
Maybe
it.
she loves this damn show.
Do it.
So we've checked it out and want to give you the lowdown on the new show. It's about Kyle Barnes. He's a strange hermit that lives in his childhood rundown house, trying to stay away from anyone in town and keep himself from being reminded of his dark past. In the town, a young boy seems to be possessed by an unknown demonic force. Reverend Anderson goes to the boy's house on a daily basis to try and save his soul from the force possessing him that seems to be very similar to something that the Reverend has dealt with before with Kyle. Kyle then has to overcome his past in order to save the lives of the people that are haunted by this same monstrosity that has torn his life apart.
And it's so awesome already.
Yeah, I kind of, you didn't know about the comic or anything,
No,
right?
I didn't know it was based off comics. I'm out of the loop. Like, I need to be honest here. I'm out of the loop when it comes to comics. I usually have to message people because I've messaged you a few times.
What is this?
I'm just like, what is this? What comics exist? Do you own this? Can I borrow this? What is this? Send me this link. That I'm one of those people when it comes to comics because I can't keep up with them. This one, I need to get my hands on it, like
All of them.
now, like so I can see what's going on. Because I mean, I watch a few shows that are based off comics, and I don't bother with the comics. I just have someone tell me, no, I need to get my hands on these.
So this is a really weird way this thing came about.
It's special.
Okay. By the way, if anybody likes Robert Kirkman, Invincible, Walking Dead, Battle Pope, which is awesome. If you've read Outcast, please let us know. Let us know what you think. If you've seen the pilot at all, let us see what you think about the differences. So this was Fox International Studios had Kirkman develop the pilot before the book even came out.
That's crazy.
And Cinemax picked up the script before the book was even finished. And
maybe they had high hopes
I guess, and because it's Robert Kirkman, at that point you just whatever he says is gold.
because Walking Dead.
Yeah, and then the series, it got picked up the series a week before the first issue came out. So they
already announced that it's already renewed for a second season.
Yeah, and with the free online episode, everybody's already on this movie or on this TV
renewed
show
for a second season.
So it's pretty crazy. And I picked up the first about 8-10 issues because I like demons, honestly. I'm tired of zombies. I'm burned out on zombies.
Thank you.
I got into the first season of Walking Dead and I was
kill you right
done.
now.
And I just wanted something different.
Yeah, I'm over zombies right now. I think it's time for demonic possession to make
Something
its comeback
different,
now.
yeah. But
Bring
like,
back the demons.
Demonic possession on this scale. Because we get a lot of possession movies. We get a lot of ghost story movies. Give
done
us something more, you know? And so I remember reading it and thinking, this is really good. It's super slow. It's a pretty cheap issue 1 for how much is in it because there's no ads. It's just a straight like 60-page book. And the funny thing at the end of it is Robert Kirkman has a whole page dedicated to why he wrote it, and he goes, it's fun writing zombies, but the thing about demons is they're real. And I'm reading this going, Jesus Christ, Robert Kirkman, what the hell's wrong with you?
What were you doing?
He's doing a little something, if you know what I mean.
And what I like about the demonic possession, like if anybody watches any movie that involves demonic possession, usually the person, you can tell they're possessed. Mm-hmm. And in this case, they're a little different. It's super nasty. They make it look like it's mental illness. That's the fantastic part about it.
Kind of like the taking of Deborah Logan.
Yes,
in a sense,
it looks like it has something to do with mental illness, but there's something there. Like you can't put your finger on it, but something's off. Literally, the first 2 minutes into the episode, I literally yelled out some words because I got caught off guard.
Lots of angry language.
It caught me off. It scared me. I had these huge headphones on, and I'm sitting there with a computer screen just like this watching, and then Ashley flew out of her chair in about like 2 seconds.
That's awesome. You pee your pants?
No, I don't do that.
You totally did.
No, I jumped and yelled out some vulgar words.
So I was super psyched. I'm going to fanboy again real quick here, and she's probably going to give me crap about it. Adam Wingard directed the pilot episode. Adam Wingard, who I just gush about all the time. The Guest, You're Next, The Woods, in talks for possibly coming up with the Halloween franchise with the new movie. He directed this first episode. And there's a lot of times where you're thinking, okay, how's the book going to match the episode?
How much are they going to take from the book and actually
this
put it?
Straight up was page for page, word for word, the book on the screen, to the point where a lot of the advertisements were the covers of the comics with the characters.
And that's rare.
You never get that.
That's rare.
And so I was super down with this. It was so, but the cool thing was I hadn't read the comics since it came out. And this episode was really cool to me. So I'm recognizing a lot of things. And I'm more, I guess, boisterous, joyous. I don't know, whatever the hell you want to say.
Opposite of me.
Yes. Because I'm seeing things that I come off the page, literally. Yeah. There's so many times where like, oh, that looks like that and that looks like that.
Wait, that didn't happen.
Panel for panel. That's what it felt like. And I know a lot of people might think, oh, that's kind of dumb. I've already seen that in some ways, but...
No, because it's different from what you see on a page and on a screen.
Exactly.
It's different because, especially with books, because at least with comic books and graphic novels, you get pictures.
Right.
When it's an actual novel, you don't get pictures. You have to use your imagination. So I'm one of those people that likes to see them take from that page, and then I want to see what they're going to do with it.
Right, right. And
I like when that happens.
How they're going to interpret the way, I guess, the look, not just the positioning of the camera compared to those panels, but the look given as opposed to the artwork. Because the art's really different. It's not something you see all the time. It's kind of, I guess, it's more artsy fartsy. Let me put it that way.
Artsy fartsy.
Yes, that's my professional opinion on it.
Artsy fartsy.
Now we get Kyle, the main character. He's played by Patrick Fugit, who was Zia in Risk Cutters.
And he was in Saved.
He was in Saved.
I just think that's
so he's got a lot of
movie.
He's got a lot of supernatural kind of. Saved isn't really supernatural, other than Jesus scene.
Like it peaks on the religion.
Right.
Portion of it.
So it's kind of cool to see him step into that, and he's kind of been more of a. Would you say, I guess, almost hopeless romantic in most of the movies he's been in?
He seems to be.
And this is kind of interesting because
that might be the
he's a
perfect
crushed soul in this one.
He's broken.
Yeah, and it's he's just really good in it.
Depressing.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him.
And then also you get Mark Holter, who plays the sheriff of the town, who in the comics he just messes with this dude so much. Biggest douche you could find.
And it always has to be the sheriff.
Always the sheriff. He played Dan Price from Big Fish, who was the guy that was marrying Ewan McGregor's girlfriend and was the big jackass in that one. He's also Chaz from Fanboys, who is the biggest jackass of all in the Star Wars universe.
He's just good at playing that type of person.
He's good at playing a jerk, yeah. And then I think the writers on this show are really cool. You have Adam Targum. He wrote episode 9. He was on the Dead Zone series. You also have Jeff Vlaming, who started with the Weird Science TV series, went on to do Xena and the Teen Wolf series. Teen Wolf series, I'm like, but Xena's awesome. Xena. And I think it's kind of weird they're pulling some weird science guys onto this.
I guess different point of views.
Yeah. I mean, you get, I guess there's not really any comedy in the book at all. So I don't know.
No dark humor?
Okay, I'll give you dark humor.
Like our dry humor.
Because the priest is pretty much he's kind of a drunkard most of the time. So that's kind of funny. He's kind of dealing cards and stuff like that and doing poker. You also get Julius Ramsey, of course. He directed some Walking Dead episodes. Got to get them in there. But we get Lonnie Persity, who did episodes of American Horror Story, which is awesome.
That.
And there's one episode that I thought this one was a pretty cool guest director. Leigh Janiak, she did Honeymoon, which is on Netflix right now. And a friend of mine mentioned this movie to me and had me watch it. And it's so friggin' cool.
Yeah.
It's a really cool ghost story. So to see her go from that to a show like Outcast, and then also she's done a couple episodes of Scream season 2. It's kind of weird because Scream is and Outcast is raw.
I still haven't bothered with the Scream series.
I watched the first season. Eventually I'll make her watch it and we'll talk about the Scream series when something
The day
happens.
I watched that's the day you watch Walking Dead.
I already watched it, thank you. You've already made me suffer. Now, this one...
Suffering's fun.
Because I couldn't help but look at all the people working on this show, and I thought this one was really weird. For all you 80s kids out there, Howard Dutch, something like that. I'm the worst right now. He did Pretty in Pink and Some Kind of Wonderful, and that...
Hey, Pretty in Pink's awesome.
I love Pretty in Pink. I love Some Kind of Wonderful. That's one of my favorite John Hughes written movies right there. He also did The Great Outdoors with Uncle Buck himself.
I also like that movie.
These are like some really weird
Those
comedies.
Those are like the 80s movies that you like to sit back and watch at random because they're just like, they bring back happy memories.
Right. Now, and then his career went really weird because he stopped doing movies and went into TV. Goes from Tales from the Crypt to True Blood to American Horror Story. He directed all the Edward Mordrake stuff from a Freak Show, which that was my favorite stuff. And currently you can see his work on The Strain and the Lizzie Borden Chronicles.
Lizzie Borden Chronicles is pretty good.
So he's taken a huge turn. I thought that was so cool.
Happy memories to death.
Lots of death and destruction in the world.
Sheesh.
Now, going from one Preacher-esque series to a straight-up Preacher series, we also checked out Preacher.
Yes, so one of the most anticipated adaptations
so
of all time is the comics to screen debut of Garth Ennis' fantasy horror series from Vertigo Comics called Preacher. Preacher follows the story of Jesse Custard in the small town of Annville, Texas, who gets extraordinary powers from some unknown force that he uses to help rebuild his town, but it may have some disastrous consequences in its wake.
Okay, so I've read the comics on this. I've been waiting for this forever, so I'm just going to let you take it.
I knew it was based off comics, but I've never read the comics. So, of course, watching the first episode, I'm like, oh, wait, what? Wait, what?
There's a lot of confusion.
But I liked it. It was keeping me on my toes, I guess, or the edge of my seat, I guess would be a phrase to use, because it kept me interested. And plus, I'm going to throw it out there just so I can make him go, They got, if I say his name correctly, Dominic Cooper, right? Is that how he says his name? He's so hot.
Jesus Christ.
It helps to have some eye candy for the ladies, and then
you have so much eye candy in this show. From what you told me, though, she's all over Cassidy. She's all over the Preacher.
He's adorable.
There's not a single person that she doesn't want to bone on this show. It sounds like
Irish accent. I mean, but still, he's adorable.
Oh, good
that
God.
Airplane scene was adorable.
So.
Psychopath.
Hot people aside, what did you think?
I like it. I know that I was kind of reading people's opinions on the first episode because I'm one of those people that just wants to see what people are going to complain about. And so a lot of people are like, I need to read the comics. I'm not understanding this. This is weird. I don't like it. What is this? What is that? I mean, just like constantly throwing all this stuff in there, and I'm just like, dude, just give it a chance. I've never read the comics. Of course, I'm like messaging him. I'm like, okay, you need to explain right now the comics, like in a short sentence. Hit me with it. The second I watched the episode, I got online and started reading like all the wiki on the comics, just trying to see like who's this, who's that, what's this person, who's this person, what does this character do, what is this? Like it got me interested. So I think it's good, and people should give it a chance.
And the
dude's hot.
I love the comic. I love Garth Ennis. The Boys is one of my favorite comic books of all time, and Preacher was one of the books he started out with. The basic premise of Preacher, the comic book, Jesse Custer is the preacher in this town, little hellhole, and there's Tulip, who assassinates somebody, runs into Cassidy, who happens to be a vampire, and she doesn't know till halfway through the book.
I didn't know he was a vampire.
You have no idea what he is.
I thought he was maybe a demon?
Yeah.
Wasn't really sure.
And so they're going through town because they're just trying to escape the people that Tulip killed, like the friends the guy Tulip killed. And Cassie's just like, well, I ain't got anything else to do tonight. Why not?
He doesn't care.
Yeah. And they bump into this giant crater that was the preacher's church, Jesse Custer's church. What happened was there is a force called Genesis. It is the child of a demon and an angel.
And it's crying too.
It cries the whole time.
Yeah.
And it has a baby's face.
It has a...
And it was locked up because it was an unholy union. And it goes down to earth and straight to him, incinerates his entire congregation and destroys the church. And he has the power to make anyone do anything he wants.
Why can't I have that power?
So his thing is the angels, which there are two sets of angels. There are the angels who are kind of the scientists, and there are the angels who are the warriors. They send down some people, and they resurrect an old gunslinger to take him out. It's pretty awesome because this gunslinger is hardcore.
They're kind of hitting
amazing.
every genre known to man with this,
They
aren't they?
really
you got
are.
horror, you got sci-fi, you got western, you got action, you got assassins. I mean, that's kind of like everything into one.
Exactly.
Which is what I was getting off the show, too. I'm like, this is kind of a mix of everything.
And basically, you find out God has given up on Earth. He's just done. He's taking a break, and no one can find him. So heaven's
Can you blame him?
half-assedly being run by angels. So the entire point of Preacher is with these powers, Jesse Custer has to go find God and convince him to come
That's
back.
why I was wondering, because in the episode you see him talking, and he's like, telling him basically, you better respond to me or I'm done. And then he just sits there and he's like, okay, fine. And I'm just like, wait, is he actually waiting for a response? Can he actually hear him? Or is this just, preacher being a preacher?
Right. And so it's really slow. I love the first episode, but it's really slow.
It was longer than I expected.
They're not even out of Anvil yet, man. And in the comics, that's like 2 seconds.
Well, of course, it's AMC.
I know, and that's what I was worried about. It's a really good episode,
AMC.
but man, I'm hoping they don't just drag it out.
I'm hoping they don't do to this what they've done with Walking Dead, which, no offense to people out there that love The Walking Dead, I'm one of those people that's just kind of meh with the show. And when I finally got excited was they brought in Negan. But how it has that slow pacing, I know people like slow pacing. I'm not a huge fan of slow pacing.
Nah.
If it's done correctly, I like it. But in this case, if in the
done
comics,
pretty-
if it's kind of like a certain pace,
Boom,
they
boom,
need
boom,
to kind
boom,
of
boom.
keep up with the pace.
Well,
Because if you drag it out too long, then it's going to lose people's
We got
interest.
Sam Catlin from Breaking Bad. He was the showrunner on there, I think. He's brought on with Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who I
Rogen.
thought would never
random.
have a good, serious movie after seeing Green Hornet. But good God, man, I was super surprised how good this was. And the thing that really did it for me, there were two things actually. Garth Ennis told him, "Hey, boys, just go ahead and do whatever.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to do beat for beat the comic." Because Sam Catlin had no idea about Preacher really up until he was brought on this project. And that was really what got them to do whatever they wanted, to do their own thing. But the thing that really got me on this show was I'm watching it, I'm thinking, okay, this is cool, it's dragging out a little bit. Ruth Negga from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and World War Z and Warcraft, she plays Tulip. She's this huge badass, which, okay, that's cool, but where does this fit into the story now all of a sudden?
Yeah.
And hope before death. Don't mention Green Hornet. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring you down. And then you also have Joseph Gilgun from Misfits, who plays Cassidy, your lover. He was also in Lockout.
Adorable.
He was in
can't act like he's
Lockout, which
not.
is a kind of a Escape from New York ripoff, but it was pretty awesome.
And now knowing that he's a vampire makes me just
Yeah.
like him even more now.
But then you had Ian Coletti. He plays Arseface, who in the comics,
Poor guy.
the entire thing with Arseface was he was such a big fan of Nirvana, because this is back in the 90s, that when Kurt Cobain committed suicide, he did the same thing, shot himself because he wanted to be like his hero. And
muffed
so
up his
they had to
face.
do reconstructive surgery on him. Well, he's kind of a side joke in the show.
Done a better job.
And in
poor
a side
guy.
joke in the comics, sorry.
Yeah.
And in the show, I cried when you see him on screen and him talking. And no, I felt for this character for once in my life. Shut up.
You and your
God.
crying.
No, damn it, because for once I cared about this character. Stop laughing at me. You mean
I was laughing when they brought him on the
Mean
screen. I'm like,
ass.
dude, if this dude was a real person, I would sue that hospital because that's just mean. That's so cruel.
God, you're a heartless. I want to say so many damn words right now. Anyways,
I'm adorable.
Preacher, yay or nay?
Big yay.
Big yay.
Big yay.
On iTunes, I believe you can check out the first episode for free. You can buy a subscription for $24.99, which is how I'm watching it every Sunday. Or if you got AMC, like
I
any
got
normal
AMC,
rich
so-
people, you know,
Rich
you
people.
can watch that way. I will say watch it. I'm hoping it picks up a little bit. I'm liking it, but I don't. It's taken forever for me.
Is it all the episodes going to be that long though, or
Yes,
is it just
they're all supposed to be around that long.
so an hour and a half?
Well, I
Because
know,
that's how long that
was
one
it an hour and a half?
Yeah, my DVR said an hour and
That's
like
with commercials.
20, 30 minutes. 40 through is about an hour total.
Yeah, I think it's going to be
It
like
was longer than I
45 minutes for the other
expected,
ones, but
so.
we'll see.
I like it.
That brings us to our home video release. Technically not a home video release, but it's Netflix, so it's just about the same thing. On Netflix right now, They Look Like People, which is a film we talked about coming out of the Slam Dance, Sundance circuit a while ago. It's about this guy who suspects that people around him are turning into evil creatures. His name is Wyatt, and he questions whether to trust his friend to protect him from these creatures, or if his friend is a creature that should protect him from himself. He's all kinds of insane. It's all kinds of weird.
So paranoid.
Super slow, though.
Oh, so slow.
It's on Netflix right now. It's worth a check out, I think. What did you feel after watching it?
I'm on the fence because I didn't hate it, but I felt like it could have been better. But but at the same time, I understand what they were doing, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So if I can find the people that I know like slow burning movies, and this kind of focuses on that fine line between, is this real? Is this dude insane? Because it kind of hits that mental illness topic, which I kind of like in movies. So this is more like that psychological.
It's more of a drama.
Yeah,
if
it's like
anything.
a psychological thriller, which still fits under the category of horror, but I don't know. I guess it would depend on the person and the friends I'm talking to whether or not I would actually suggest this movie to them. Because there's people I know out there that would not watch it. And then there's those small cases where they're like, okay, I'm bored. Maybe I'll watch it.
I think it's an awesome concept. Look, the guy Wyatt, he's crazy. He moves in with his friend. He thinks everyone is a monster.
He's schizo.
He's getting phone calls at night from a secret society. It's like the monsters are all around
With
you
his
and they could
really
be
deep
killing
voice.
you. And there are scenes, dreamlike sequences, where you actually see kind of shadowy looking monsters that are really
and the
creepy.
faces distort, which kind of reminded me of of the exorcism of Emily Rose when she would look and she'd
Or
see,
The Ring.
the Ring, the face morphine type situation that he was either hallucinating or it's actually
But
happening.
that's as far as that budget goes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got some really creepy sequences in between.
The
and
dream sequences
The two guys in the movie are
Special.
I kind of hated them.
I didn't form any kind of attachment to them. Like I didn't care what would happen to them. Like I don't.
The ending is pretty.
Meh.
Okay.
Predictable.
It's very predictable, but you got to admit at least it was kind of nerve-wraching at some points in it.
Well, yeah. Well, like there was that couple of seconds where you're like, wait. Never mind.
And it's over.
And it's done.
If you're feeling like being more nervous and watching a paranoia movie,
Yeah.
this is the flick for you. If you're actually going in thinking maybe they'll get some, huevos and do some actual monsters.
Yeah, if you're into those movies that's like slow burning and it didn't get me anxious or anything, but it did get me in some parts where I'm just like, wait, what's up? Nah, never mind. Never mind. Like
It's on Netflix, so if you got it's really short. It's like an hour 30.
it's only like an hour and 20, 19,
Yeah, so
20. It was short.
it's a checkout, but definitely not the best film.
Not the worst.
Not
but
the worst,
the
not the best, but it's there.
So if you guys watch it, please let us know what you thought about
More
it.
importantly right now, though, guys, we have some amazing information that has come out regarding one of our favorite franchises ever, Friday the 13th, and our ever-loving hero, Jason Voorhees. Yes, I do consider him my hero right there. We have information leaked that Aaron Guzikowski, he is the writer on Prisoners, the TV show, I believe. He has been brought in to do the new draft of the Friday the 13th franchise. Not only has been brought in to write it, and the delivery date was sometime this week, the script has indeed been delivered. It is done, and it has been said by Brad Fuller, the producer from Platinum Dunes, that is a script they're going to go with. They're locking with that script. They're just trying to find a director, and they're going to start shooting soon.
Nice.
With that being said, we don't know much about what is in the script. However, we did hear some interesting tidbits that either are going to piss people off or they think it's going to be awesome.
That'll work.
Now, I'm going to tell you what that little bit of information is, guys, and then you can tell us on chat what you think, and I'll ask Ash what she thinks. Supposedly, both Pamela Voorhees and Elias Voorhees, Jason's father, are in this movie. Now, Elias Voorhees was going to be in my favorite Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. And the idea that Tom McLaughlin had at the time was, at the end of the movie, Jason's put to rest. You see a cloaked figure going over to Jason and Pamela's grave, and he puts down some roses or something like that, and he kind of gives a look that he's going to continue Jason's legacy.
Nice.
And I thought that was kind of awesome. There was even at one point an idea that the caretaker from Jason Lives, the one that's drinking the whole time, that he was going to be Jason's father, and that's why he's constantly drinking and taking care of the cemetery. But of course, they decided to dispatch him with some re-editing and
he was
reshooting.
supposed to be in Jason Goes to Hell and Freddy vs. Jason. They were going to have Kane Hodder playing him.
That would be awesome. Now,
which would have been amazing.
That being said, I would love to see if they are bringing Elias Voorhees into this movie. Kane Hodder's not going to play Jason, whether he plays Jason or not.
They can still bring him in.
Get Kane Hodder to play Elias.
I would love that.
That would be amazing.
Kane, do it. Your fans will totally back that up.
I think it'd be
Trust
funny
me.
as hell if Kane Hodder played Elias Voorhees and the guy from the remake played Jason Voorhees himself, because they're actually buddies.
Yeah, they're friends.
And he's a really cool guy.
Which that would be. I think fans would be totally down for that too. I
Yeah.
think they would be totally fine with that because I know I would.
Yeah, that. But now, at the same token, I'm all down for expanding the mythos and let's seeing more Jason Voorhees and stuff like that.
Seeing what they could do with him now.
But recently, I was told this little tidbit. Someone was talking about how with the Halloween movie being made again, they need to correct something that the sequels kind of destroyed.
Like where they messed up.
Well, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be that they were talking about. They said, if you look at the original Halloween, he is the Shape. Michael Myers is the Shape. He is this force that is not driven by anything. He is just a sadistic killer that pops up one day.
Just soulless
Yeah.
thing.
And then in the sequels, they try to explain away who he is. Rob Zombie movies, they straight up explain what makes him. And so it kind of takes away from the horror of this guy just kind of pops up. I half agree with that and half disagree with that because I like to see where he comes from, but you do lose some of the mystique.
Yeah, I like seeing the backstory, but then again, if you give too much away to the backstory, it kind of loses.
And most...
Because, I mean, that even happened with Krueger.
Yeah.
So.
And most of the Friday the 13th films have been just kill, again, kill.
He's just like
and there's enough
blunt
backstory
force.
based just as if you look at all the films together, there's like little tidbits here and there that you can do a backbone of an origin.
Yeah.
And you feel for him. And then of course they go into Jason Goes to Hell and
I
Freddy
did feel
vs.
bad
Jason.
for Jason.
And I think as horror fans we all do, you know.
Yeah.
So
He's kinda
it
sad.
makes me wonder if we're gonna get too much information on his origin, because that's the thing Brad Fuller kept saying, the producer, origin. I saw it like 4 times in his statements, and I'm just thinking,
how much and how far are we going into
Yeah.
the origin, or is it like flashback scenes, or are they going to give us that whole like first 15 minutes of an origin story and then it goes on to what we know as
Exactly.
Friday the 13th?
so that's my 2 cents on it. What do you think that would be a good idea? What do you want from it?
I just don't want it to be as bad as that remake.
The Greatest Hits album, but done with lots of
hated-
CGI and stuff.
Hated that remake. I hated it with a passion. No, like Jason was fine. It was everything else I didn't like. I agree pretty much with everything you're saying. Like I do like the origin thing. I find it interesting, but at the same time, there's that fine line of going overboard or you're taken away from it. And plus, Friday the 13th fans know his backstory. We know his origin.
Yeah.
We really actually don't know much about his dad. So if anything, if you're bringing this dude in, kind of give us a little bit of him. I mean, we already know who Pamela is. We already know who Jason's is. We know what happened to Jason. Are they still keeping that story into it of what happened to Jason?
I'm worried this is gonna go prequel route, because that's kind of what they're doing with the new Leatherface
maybe
film.
Prequel sequel?
Prequel.
Yeah, you know, where you got like part of the prequel and then halfway into the movie it turns into like a sequel, or it turns into what the
But
movie's supposed to be.
it's the same thing I'm worried with the new Leatherface movie coming out, because
that's
he's
a
not
prequel.
The idea is it's 3 kids getting out of an insane asylum and they take a road trip killing spree, and you don't know which one's going to be Leatherface. That's a cool idea, but that's not Leatherface
That's
at that
not
point.
Leatherface.
Yeah, you don't it's cool. I just don't know if we need that, and that just makes me worry.
That's them literally rebooting the whole entire
and that makes me
story.
wonder, are we going to get a Friday the 13th film where all we want is Jason and half of it is prequel fodder that goes into Jason.
Maybe they'll see the mistakes of some of these movies and be like, okay, let's not do that.
Well, now
but then again, you never
Paramount
know.
Studios has the rights back. Platinum Dunes is still producing. Paramount traded, I think, the rights to release Interstellar to Warner Brothers. So Paramount got back Friday the 13th franchise for releasing. But it's still Platinum Dunes. And Brad Fuller and Michael Bay still have production on it. Oh my God, that look right there was insane.
I'm going to plead the fifth.
So, I don't know, guys. Tell us what you think.
What would you like to see in this?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And then if they really do need to get a hold of Kane Hodder and be like, hey, you want to play Dad? Because it'd be like Hatchet all over again.
Oh, it would be like Hatchet.
Hatchet was awesome.
Yeah. So let us know. We're about to end the show here, but let us know on social media, on any of our Instagram pages. Let us know what you think about the Friday the 13th franchise. And speaking of franchises, next week we have a very special episode to Ash's heart where she might actually smile for once on camera. That oh so beautiful smile that makes men die.
When I think
we will be talking about the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise in celebration of Robert Englund's birthday. So definitely tune in next week. And thank you guys for listening to this Nerd Ninja Horror Show.
And if you have anything to add to any of these topics, feel free to continue this discussion outside of the show on any social media using the handle Nerd Ninja TV.
And just a reminder that submissions are open for our weekly cosplay contest. So head over to the nerdninja.com website to submit your picture and cast your vote. And then tune in to the Nerd Ninja Show featuring me and my buddy Joe and Craig on Tuesday at 8:30 for the finalist competition, where you get to live vote to determine the winner. She has been Ash Von Horror. I have been your Fright Master, Freddie Ruiz. And we thank you for watching the Nerd Ninja Horror Show. See you next week, guys. Go check out Maniac Cop. It's awesome.